Okay, Mayor Martin, you may begin the meeting.
You're muted, Jim.
There we go. Let's start off right, okay? I know you might have liked not hearing me, but you're not going to get off that easy. So I'll call the meeting to order. Thursday, November 5th. It's a special meeting of council, and it is on Zoom. Purpose of the meeting is to discuss the ice installation and possible reopening of Havelock Arena, along with the connecting link grant application regarding storm sewers on Highway 7. I didn't know that was going to be on here because I want to keep this focused. And then there's going to be a short closed session afterwards to discuss some personnel matters. So anyways, I'll remind everyone of the declaration of pecuniary interest if it arises. We do have some people on the screen that are they're not delegations, but they're here to hear this meeting and get it firsthand. So we won't be able to go to them as a delegation like a normal meeting, but if there's any questions to them, it's up to council. But I think you can get some clarification if you need it. So I'm going to start off by thanking everyone for your time this morning. I called this meeting to discuss something that I felt couldn't wait for our next meeting in 2 weeks. And I wanted to be more clear on my position. We had many calls and emails. I'm sure you've got them too. Many of the people know how involved I am around the rink. And they couldn't understand why I didn't support hard in the motion to open the rink. So we all know how it works, but most were unaware that as chair, I'm unable to move motions. So I want to be clear where I stand with regards to the arena opening. We've all worked with the health unit for the past 8 months and followed the protocols and rules they recommend with everything we've done in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. The arena opening is no different. On Monday, our arena manager brought us his report back for the 3rd time, which was well done and covered all the necessary points that we as a council needed to know to move forward on this issue. The arenas across the country are dealing with the same concerns to open safely, and the province has put a Safe Start grant in place to help us deal with all the unforeseen operating costs that could pop up. A lot of the work goes into preparing these reports, and I felt we have so many things that is in our mandate to deal with already that we could have dealt with this on October 19th and on the October 19th meeting and move forward. This week, we heard from a lot of people who either spent a lot of time in the past in the arena creating memories, or the new upcoming skater parents and all the adult group that use the rink at the community center to keep active and creating memories of their own. COVID-19's changed all of our lives over the last 8 months, and maybe many more to come. And we have to try to keep some sort of normalcy as we maneuver through these challenging times and do it as safely as possible. We all know this year won't be the same as we've experienced in the past, but it will give those who enjoy the one piece of recreation that we provide some relief to these stressful times. As well, we have to remember it's an economic driver for our businesses out there who are already having a tough time. Today, I'm asking council to step back and realize the importance for our community to be able to use the community center to get through the long winter months ahead. We need to move forward, get our community center open, and make the best of these challenging times. And that's all I'm going to say. And what I'm going to do is go around the table and open it up to all of council, because there's obviously lots of questions and concerns still. And we've heard from the public. That's who we're here for. And so I'm going to just open it up, and I'm going to go around as I see everyone on the screen here, and I'm going to start with Hart, and then I'll move on to Barry, and I'll end with Deputy Mayor Giroux. So Hart, have you got anything that you needed to say for this meeting?
Well, yeah, seeing as this might be the last time we get to speak on this, I'd just like to make my position clear to the rest of council. I know sometimes we get heated in some of these discussions, so maybe everything doesn't So hopefully this will be clear and concise, and the last time I have to say this. We've been at this for a couple of months now, so obviously this has been a contentious issue for us here on council. But part of our duty here on council is to make these tough decisions. What I ask of this council is to consider that another very important role we play is that of a representative of the people. And when I say that, I mean not just a representative of the people who agree with us or the people who voted for us, but a representative of HPM. And a part of that role is to exercise, to the best of our ability, the will of said people. Over the past few days, council has received numerous phone calls and emails from constituents who are upset with the decision to keep the arena closed. Perhaps more than I've received on any one issue in the 6 years that I have been on council. So my question to council is, why are we not listening? As I see it, there are two arguments being made against the opening the arena. So let me address those right now. The first, obviously, of the arena will create some sort of public health problem here in our community. This, by all means, is a valid concern. However, to those making that argument, I would say, then why are arenas in nearly every other town in Ontario open? Are their councils somehow less concerned about the health of their people than we are? The fact is that arenas are open everywhere, operating under set COVID protocols. At our last meeting, Manager of Parks and Recreation, as the Mayor said, Ryan Andrew, provided council with a very thorough layout of what types of procedures and protocols placed to protect those using the facility. I heard only a couple of questions, but no concerns raised over the plan, yet the arena remains closed with no explanation as to why. I'm afraid that in not opening the rink, that we are exercising a power that we do not have. We are not the Peterborough County Public Health Unit, so let's not act like we are. The second argument being made is that by closing the arena, that the municipality will be saving money, which I have to admit is true. However, to me, the saving cost to many in our community far too high. The fact is that the money is already in the 2020 budget to open the arena. If we voted today to open the arena, the ice would be in say 2 to 3 weeks, so almost the end of November. That leaves December, January, February, and a part of March, roughly 4 months. While I have to defer to our treasurer for the exact figures, I would say we have 3 months of operating costs for the arena already covered. So the actual cost to the 2021 budget would be roughly 1 month operating. Of course, there will be losses from a lower number of rentals, especially with the loss of minor hockey. However, the township has received COVID funding from the province that would easily offset any losses. I spoke earlier about the cost to our community of not opening. Obviously, user groups such as the men's hockey leagues, local youth hockey clinics, and of course the Havelock Skating Club will all have their seasons canceled. Where will these people go to play and exercise? They pay taxes, so why are we taking services away from them? I fear that drive people to pursue their interests in other towns. I too have been contacted by business owners who say that many other groups that use the arena often frequent their businesses while in Havelock. So as a result of the arena closure, will have a negative effect on our business industry, an industry that is already suffering due to the effects of the COVID crisis. And while I can't say for sure the reason there's no minor hockey in Havelock this year is because of the arena closure, I'm sure that members of their executive will not be shy to tell you that the lack of issue wasn't exactly helpful to them. So in closing, it is up to us, gentlemen. Our community is speaking to us loudly and clearly. Are we as a council going to listen to their concerns carefully and carefully reconsider our previous decision, or we could continue to fiddle as a piece of our community burns?
You gonna start? Okay. All right. You did break up a bit. Is it my computer or is it buffering a little bit when Hart's talking? I keep thinking
It's suffering a bit when
okay.
he's talking, but I think we all got the point.
Okay. All right. So Barry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I answered a couple of emails, if you can imagine that or not, Jim, but I did get back to a couple of people. And, thank you to your response, Councillor Pomeroy. I appreciate it. If there's any details you may require throughout this process, feel free to reach out. And he goes on about this is a very intense topic, but the truth is, he's been in several arenas this year, and I feel safer in them than I do at my local grocery store. The protocols that have been put in place by our public health are absolutely amazing. As per ice rentals, there's no doubt in my mind, our arena will be very full. I know 5 men's groups, they're looking for ice on a regular basis, including figure skating club. Opening in January, I would hope that maybe they could open sooner. I also, he runs different things in the arena, and what is it? People in this town need this facility more now than they ever have. It's an outlet for some, and for some sense of normality during these unknown times. And I had emailed him on a different topic, and I said that I nor the other 2 old guys had any facts to check when we have been left out of what was really going on. Other than the safety aspect of it, we really didn't know. I really appreciate your info, and I'm sure that the other 2 will look at this a little differently. This person has contributed a great amount of time over the years, and really appreciate it. So don't be too hard on the old guys. We have grandkids. We love the effort you guys would contribute to, and it isn't all about money. I just wish we'd have had the information that you provided, and we'll be looking at this again soon, and which is today. And to further that, the skating club, is there any reason they are waiting till January to start figure skating?
Jen is on the screen there. I don't know if she's on the phone or on Zoom, but
I'm here.
Okay, Jenna.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So the reason why we decided to defer it till January was because I was under this understanding that Norwood was also following suit with that. And another one of our big concerns for that that we discussed during our exec meeting was that because the schools were opening, like our registrations typically prior to September, so they were opening, and we thought that that would be a disadvantage for us as far as people being concerned and trying to get organized with the new school systems and how all that stuff was working out. So we figured that it would be a good idea to hold off and see how all that goes. And it's obviously going very well. Like everyone's been pretty good with the schools, I think, so far, and it's all been settled. So I think that like, it's obviously not my decision 100%. I have to confide in the executive, but I don't see a problem in us trying to start it up sooner than January. I'm actually just been in contact with one of our future coaches, Taylor Blakely. She's going to go get her coaching license, so we will have her on board. But that won't be done, but it won't matter either way because she can come volunteer until she does have her license to coach. So yeah, so yeah, like I'm game, guys. Like let's do this.
Okay, no, I just thought maybe it was a monetary issue that you couldn't start before that, and I was going to say that, you're one of the only groups that have ever approached council, saying we can't pay our bill, but I'm looking at a couple of ways of raising money.
Yeah.
And then COVID come along.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do it. And I thought, well, if it's about the money, we don't need to worry about that. Get the little girls out skating.
Okay, well, that's good to hear because yeah, that's good to hear because I, honest to God, have been literally breaking my butt all summer long to try and do this bottle drive to just provide and contribute to that bill to some way or another. And my exec, not everybody's on the same page as the COVID. So some people involved weren't able to help to the extent that I would normally have. So unfortunately, it's just pretty much been me with the help of some line members, and I'm so fortunate for them. Like, they have helped me out greatly. Otherwise, I would be up to my eyeballs in beer bottles and liquor bottles. Like, literally.
Oh, don't be draining them.
Oh no, and maybe that's what I should be doing. I consider that once in a while. But yeah, no, currently right now my front yard is covered. We've emptied the trailer, so it's there, and we're gonna get the last load done today, hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't really want it there much longer. But,
I don't blame you. No,
yeah, no.
I just wondered if it was a monetary thing that you couldn't start.
No, no,
Mhm.
I mean, like I mean, obviously the bill is hanging over our head, as I mentioned in the previous council meeting, when I initially had requested for some help with that. Yeah, so I didn't really want to have that, but I mean, I don't give up easily. So, I mean, if that was going to be the case, then I was willing to give her a go, but I also have to listen to the exec members and what their concerns are. And I also try and have to listen to what the other clubs are doing, and because I am not overly experienced in this, and so it's helpful to me to see what other clubs are doing, because you know, and they lead by example, and I think that, yeah, that was probably a smart thing on our behalf, because I don't know how focused some of our skaters would have been in registration in September. I think it would have been a bit of a waste of time on our half, but yeah, like I have had people contact me saying that they are interested in it, and there are people there that want to skate. So whatever the numbers look like, I don't think it really matters. We need to have this, like, it's super, super important. We need this extracurricular stuff. Like, my kids, you know, dying to get out and do things. So and whatever that looks like, I think we should do this. Like, we got this. Let's do it.
Well, Jenna, we're here to help. We're not, like I say, that we're not the old man's club that a lot of people on Facebook are trying to accuse us of being.
Yeah.
I
hate
would-
to,
Go ahead.
yeah, I hate to, it kind of appears like that sometimes, guys, and I don't know, I would love to be able to, I don't know what kind of advice that I can give you to avoid that. And it's tough on your end, because you guys know all the rules and stuff like that. And when people view these meetings, we are viewing it on a basic understanding of what they are. And unfortunately, that is a disadvantage for you guys, because you know, I think maybe there should be some kind of post or what have you written, just to explain to everyone, you know, this is how it works, and this is why we do what we do, and why we have decisions made, you know, why we make them the way we make them. And I think that would just provide a lot of clarity for people. I know it's silly, but that is the truth of the matter. And like, you know, I have no problem asking questions, so I can get clarity for myself, but other people just don't, right? They just look at it and they take it for what it is and they run, right? So
Right on, right on. It's one of those things where we used to call it rumors. There's not one started at 10 o'clock, start one.
well,
But
yeah,
anyway, we got a lot of information from you, and I've got a lot of information from other people here. I know my thumb was awful close to the switch at the last meeting.
Mm.
In fact, I asked that question of Ryan, and he said he's ready.
yeah,
But there was still just some things that I didn't feel comfortable with. And I knew we would get a lot of
flat.
maybe not so good help, but I mean, then we got a lot of information that you know, that I have gathered here, and how people can help us out, and you know, what is available, you know, in other communities, the whole ball of wax. So, you know, that just clarifies everything that we should have had at the last meeting. So I thank you very much, Jenna.
Yes, no problem. If you let me know,
Thank
like,
you.
I'm here, guys. Just reach out. You got my email there. I can give you my phone number, text, whatever you need. Just reach out and let me know what information you need and or what. I'm here.
And the
Thank you,
same with you, Jenna.
Worries.
We're here too.
Well, thanks. Well, I look forward to hearing you in the next meeting, and we can talk about the deferral fee then. I didn't really want to bring it up today.
Yeah, let's not get into that. And
No.
Thank you, Jenna, for your input. And
Thanks for having me, guys.
yeah, and Barry's right. And you know, things with Facebook, they don't mean as much to us as an email. An email, you can, you know, who's sending you the letter. It's not just disgruntled people saying what they think they can get away with. So
Well,
I'll move on now to Councillor Ellis. Councillor Ellis, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, all. First of all, I'm just going to make a couple of comments. I'm here and representing all people, all the people in our municipality. So that's one of the reasons for how I based this situation here. A comment quickly on all the emails. There were some great emails, positive comments, questions, and that was all good. However, we all seen the negative ones where it becomes the political chastising. That stuff does do nobody any good. So I have Ryan, I'm sure, is here at our meeting, and I had asked Ryan to substantiate what the other arenas are doing, because one of the, not what they're doing, I wanted to have more clarity on how much operating was happening at those arenas, because what I took from our previous meetings was that there wouldn't be a lot of hours of ice time happening at our municipality. Therefore, looking at cost, my thoughts were, because we didn't open yet, was that any of the cost savings from not opening would be reflected in a project next summer through the Sports and Rec Master Plan. I also felt, making my decision, that it was maybe a better priority to make sure that the outdoor arena was opened and it may be expanded. As we know, the health unit indicates being outside is preferable than being inside. So that was some of my basing, those things was how I decided last time on leaving it as it was, focusing on outdoor and focusing on saving that money and put it toward something in the master plan next summer, whether it be a splash pad or whatever. So just to make it clear, that's how I based my decision. I would ask Ryan now, he was going to do some homework there to find out the other arenas, whether they're booked full and waiting lists as it indicated in some of the emails or some of the Facebook stuff that was put on. So I'll ask Ryan what he found from the other arenas.
You there, Ryan?
Yep. Morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yes, in response to Councilor Erlos's question, I did make some phone calls yesterday. In Marmara, they are looking at being about 15 to 20% increase in rentals this year. They do have some available time slots. Now, when I say that, I'm talking during prime time. So they do have some available non-prime time, but for the most part, they do have a few hours open here and there. And then I had the opportunity to speak to Norwood this morning, and they had indicated they're booked solid, so they're not able to really offer any ice time at this point. So I hope that answers your question.
So it's just the two arenas you touched base with, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Madoc and Tweed are in the same position where they have a few hours available. Their ice time as well has increased about 15-20% compared to previous years.
Okay. Well, that gives a little different perspective, as Councillor Pomeroy had indicated. And my last comment is going to be, as council is aware, since this COVID-19 issue and how it affected our municipality, I've been very active in supporting and enforcing rules around COVID. I say that on a personal level because of a personal issue with COVID. I take it maybe a little more serious or look at it a little differently than probably all the rest of council. So I offer that not as an excuse, but as how I've looked at our municipality, whether we do or do not do things. So I'm going to leave it at that and pass the mic to Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Thanks, Larry. Dave, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council,
That cuckoo clock went off just the wrong time there, Dave.
I thought it was going cuckoo. No, the emails, no, seriously. I want to thank council for the comments. I don't know that I should have to carry on with the same things. I will say that Councillor Ellis did ask one of the questions that I should have asked, maybe didn't get the opportunity to ask Ryan on Monday. The other question that I didn't get an opportunity to ask Ryan was, do we have all the necessary safety equipment at hand? And if we don't have it, is it ready, available?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, sorry, through you to Deputy Mayor Giroux. We do have all the safeguards in place. We did order some sanitizing equipment that came in earlier than expected, so we have that ready to go. The only thing that we were kind of waiting to purchase and install was the additional directional signage for the facility. That stuff can be made up and installed during the ice making process. So we haven't gone through and ordered that until council made that decision to open the arena, but it's not an issue for us. That stuff can be available within a few days. So, but to answer your question, yeah, we have everything ready to go.
Okay, thank you for that. That's one of the questions I should have put in the original questions I asked you, so I take full responsibility for not asking that question. But I have to it would be irresponsible to make decisions until you get the right answers. And I think we're getting the right answers today. Perhaps it was my fault partially for not asking those questions before. I think it become a little emotional yesterday and got a little heated, or Monday, pardon me. So as far as the emails, yeah, I got lots of emails. Some of them good, some of them not so good, not so flattering. But I also got just as many emails in regards to fire roads as I did the arena issue. So I want to make it clear that I make my decision not on harassment or not harassment, but pressure to do something. I make it on factual points, and that's the only way I work. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, everybody. Larry, you had something to add?
Just a question through you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to get council's thoughts on an outdoor arena, whether it be that like it was last year or expanded. And if we had an outdoor arena, would that accommodate what Ryan's looking at to facilitate indoors?
This is to do with the arena, but I think they're two different things personally, but I'll turn it over to Ryan, and then Dave, you had something?
Somebody here, Matt.
Sorry, so through you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Ellis, would you mind just repeating that question just so I have some clarity on that?
Sure. So knowing if you had your arena open today, knowing what people you'd be facilitating, would an outdoor arena accommodate it?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think we can really compare the two facilities. The outdoor rink is not a rentable space that accommodates that attracts a different crowd of people. So I don't think it's really fair to make the comparison there. I couldn't give you, you know,
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, Dave, and then Barry.
Thank you for your comments, Ryan. I believe it's a lot safer to open the arena. Our staff can't control the outside arena, and I don't want to be responsible. I don't want our staff to be responsible for the outdoor arena. Therefore, I think it's a lot safer to have the arena open itself.
And I'll speak for Jen. I know the figure skating club couldn't work on the outdoor rink. It just, they can go to the Rotary Park if they want to or wherever and use the outdoor rink, but it won't work for that type of thing. So I'll just leave it at that. I didn't want to influence that thought, but they're two separate things. And I think at the next meeting we could discuss that. But go ahead, Councillor Pomeroy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, we're getting off track here. We want the arena decision.
Yeah.
So, let's get her done.
Okay. Has everybody had their say and have they got everything cleared up on what they're thinking? Because my next step here would be looking for a motion. And like I said, I can't make the motion, or I would be. So I'm relying on council. They've heard from the public and they've heard from council. I think we've got a lot of things cleared up today. So I would just like to move on with this one way or the other. So Dave, go ahead.
Through you, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the reasons that I didn't like the motion the other day, because I felt it kind of handcuffed our manager's hands. His staff have duties to perform in the morning. And if we cut him back, cut the manager of Parks, Recs, and Facilities to one shift, and I'm not asking for two, I'm just trying to explain my position here. We have got other duties to perform other than running the arena. So that motion was pretty clear that he could only have one shift. And if he's only got so many men to run at one shift, who's going to do the other work?
That's a good point, Dave. And I think by the one shift is something that, we've asked them to work with. As far as the staffing level, I think I researched that last night, and the numbers that are out there is it takes a lot to do this. There is more involved, and that's what that grant's for, is the operational side of things. He explained it pretty well as far as what he needs for staffing, and that's his job as manager to tell us what he needs to do it safely, because if he doesn't have it, he's not going to be safe with it. So the numbers that I got from neighboring municipalities is up to 7 people work there, not 3. So it's a totally different model. So I think we need to be careful on that side of it. But go ahead, Barry.
Well, I'm saying we're getting way off track here. This isn't why we're here. Do you either want the arena open or don't you? So,
and that's what I would say.
Who's going to make a motion? I don't want you carrying on, Jim, and anybody else, with, what are we doing with Ryan? What are we doing with an outdoor arena? This one
Well,
here.
let me just straighten that out, Barry, because that's what we got into in the last meeting. So this meeting here, what I'm looking for is a motion that we open the arena or we don't open the arena, and we go with the manager's report, and it included an extra person to help them if needed. So we don't need to get in the weeds there, but we have a report from the manager to open this arena safely, and I think we need to go with what he's saying, and we can work out the details later. But we were cutting it fine, like Deputy Mayor Giroux said, that we may have some issues because we don't have enough staff to do it safely. So the protocol calls for this. Let's just get a motion on the table. I agree, we're getting off track here. Let's just get a motion to go with the staff recommendations here, and let's move forward. So I'm looking for a motion. Okay, moved by Councillor Pomeroy.
I will make a motion that we approve opening the arena.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Webb.
Gladly. I'll gladly second said motion.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right then. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so I think the message here, Ryan, is turn the plant on as soon as you can and let's get things moving here.
Thank
So
you.
I thank everybody for this part.
So-
So is there any other questions with regards to this before we leave it? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item here so we can carry on. So thank you, everybody that came to be a part of this. And thank you, council, for listening to my rant. Anyways, the next item we have here is our treasurer, and I see Peter Nielsen from the county here. And with regards to the Plan Mac and the storm sewer on Highway 7. So Wendelin, you called for this part of it, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so council had previously approved up to the $3 million mark for a connecting link application along Highway 7 for the storm sewers. So the costs have come in over the 3 million. So I just wanted council's approval if it goes over the 3 million, and Brad will explain the details of that. But there's also some details I think he needs to discuss with council about the scope of the project with the storm sewers that go along the backs of the properties through the village, and then the double lot on the north side of 7 to be potentially used as a pond if there's overflow. So I'll turn that over to Brad. Right now, as of documents I received this morning, the pared down project would be just under 3.5 million. So that would be potentially a contribution from the county if council approved it at the county of just over 77,000. So our total commitment would be just over 680,000 if that scope of the project was approved. So I didn't want to put an application in because it's due tomorrow without council's input.
Thank you, Wendelin. So Brad, did you have anything to add to this then?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Martin and members of council. Appreciate the opportunity to have a discussion this morning. We're going to have a meeting next week where I can provide additional details regarding the project and the design itself. But just as a quick overview, as part of the County Road 48 reconstruction project, we identified some issues with regard to drainage. Essentially, there are the storm sewers within the village are undersized. There's storm sewers that go onto private property next to buildings that are not maintained, and there are outlets that are insufficient and are in risk of being damaged and failure occurring. So to address the drainage improvements, not only on County Road 48, but also within the entire village of Havelock, because everything drains south towards Highway 7 or Ottawa Street. So the study was initiated last year to look at a comprehensive options to manage stormwater within the village, and knowing that the main outlet is on Ottawa Street and south of Ottawa Street. There's basically two outlets. One is the small diameter storm sewer pipe opposite Quebec Street that runs south under the railway tracks to the wetland feature in the south of the CPR yard. And then there's a drainage channel just west of William Street that drains again to the south and towards the Rotary Park pond. And so to facilitate drainage upstream, we're proposing a large diameter storm sewer on Ottawa Street, and it would extend from Quebec Street to just west of William Street. And that's a large diameter. It's between 1,200 millimeters to 1,500 millimeter in diameter. So it's a fairly large pipe, and it is sized to capture and convey the drainage upstream. And This would allow the storm sewers upstream, particularly on County Road 48, and then in the future on the other roads within the village, to have larger storm sewer pipes put in, and that would be required to manage drainage and then have a place for it to outlet. And the outlet under the CPR tracks would be eliminated, as water would be redirected to the drainage channel towards the east. So the connecting link application is for stormwater management improvements within the Ottawa Street corridor. And in our discussions with MTO, we were led to believe that the work that we're proposing is reasonable and is an eligible project, and that's why we're pursuing the funding application. So we're looking at MTO to contribute to the cost to construct the large diameter storm sewer that is required. And as well, the second part of the scope is to deal with the flooding and the drainage issue that is a result of the CPR culvert. So at the drainage channel outlet on the south side of Ottawa Street, it drains about a short distance to a culvert under the railway track. That culvert, after doing hydraulic analysis, we confirm that it is undersized. It's much smaller than it needs to be, so it can't handle all the flows, can't handle all today's flows, and certainly when we contribute more flows with this large diameter pipe, it'll aggravate the flooding issue even more, because the opening in that culvert is not large enough, and so water backflows upstream and goes through the box culvert under Ottawa Street and then floods the lands on the north side of Ottawa Street. So we had two options there. One was to replace the CPR culvert and with a larger culvert, and that would alleviate all the drainage constraint. And the second option would be to construct a stormwater detention pond. So at least when the water floods upstream, it's contained within a constructed detention pond on land owned by the municipality. So the idea there is to prevent the private property on the north side of the highway from being flooded. The culvert structure under the CPR is a fairly large undertaking, and initially we looked at possibility of including that work within this connecting link application, but it just elevated the cost far above what the maximum cap is for funding, which is $3 million. So we decided that it would be best to pursue the detention pond and include that in the application, and then deal with the CPR culvert issue on a separately, maybe as another project later on in the future. Certainly there's a lot more discussions that needs to be had with CPR on that issue. So we've completed a preliminary design for the large diameter storm sewer, and for the interim, we call an interim stormwater pond, because if and when that culvert under the CPR tracks get replaced, then the pond would no longer be required, and that land could be converted back to vacant building lots, if should the township so choose to. So our preliminary design for the purposes of the application to MTO, we've done a Class C cost estimate, which is a cost estimate based on preliminary design, knowing that once further design is done, then the design gets refined and the costs get refined. But for the purposes of the application, we developed a fairly comprehensive breakdown of what we believe the costs may be to construct the storm sewer and to construct this shallow pond, which would be required to contain floodwaters. And we come up with a construction value of just around 3 million. And then when we add in other allowances such as engineering and supervision and utilities, that sort of thing, we get up to about 3.5 million. And we have developed our breakdown where we're hoping that for the most part, the ministry will pick up 90% of the cost. and in the township, the remaining 10%. The only place where that doesn't apply is that under the connecting link rules, the ministry will only fund a storm sewer pipe up to 700 millimeters in diameter. Anything above that, they won't fund. So we had to prorate, because the storm sewers that we're proposing are much larger than 700 millimeters. We had to prorate the cost and the split so that the ministry's contribution is up to what it would cost for the smaller 700 millimeter diameter pipe, and then the township would have to cover the balance of the upsize to the larger pipe size. Even so, we come with that breakdown. We have the MTO's contribution at just around 2.7, and the township's at about 0.8 million. Those numbers do not include HST or HST rebate. So under the application, the MTO application identifies the cost plus HST minus the HST rebate that the township gets. So depending on how much HST of the township would actually pay, those numbers would increase based on that number. So essentially, that's the application, the proposal that we're submitting, and we're hoping to get successful on to have MTO fund the majority of the work that would be required. And as I said, I ran through it rather quickly, and there'll be a lot more discussion next Tuesday when we meet, so we can talk about the overall project itself and what all the exact drainage issues are. And then there's a number of construction challenges associated with building a large diameter storm sewer on Ottawa Street and elsewhere for that matter. And so we look forward to having those discussions with council at that time, so we can help to provide some clarification and some additional information on those kind of constructability issues, and how we believe they can be addressed. And then as well, obviously there are concerns with how traffic's going to be managed and what the impact will be to businesses within the village, which again, we'll have some discussions on next week when we have a chat about the entire project. So that's a very quick overview of the general scope of the MTO connecting link funding application and the numbers that we have come up with to help with the financial proposal to the ministry.
Thank you, Brad. And you answered a lot of my questions. I don't pretend to be an engineer, so I never would. But the part about the pond there, that's what I was kind of wondering, is that a temporary thing? And I'm happy to hear that would be a temporary fix until we could get through the rail lands. But this project is huge for Havelock-Belmont-Methuen in regards to trying to get George Street or 48 done on the back street, because if you don't have a place for the water to go, that's going to be held up even longer, and it's long overdue. So it's unfortunate. We always say water and sewer are so expensive, but in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, we also have the drainage problem too. So we got a little extra here. So I'll open it up to council, and if they have any questions, or go ahead, Barry.
I just have one question through you, Mr. Mayor, and well, not a question. We're going to be able to see the drawings next Tuesday. They're going to be laid out, and I think then it'd be a much fair time to ask questions so that we understand.
Yeah, I think so, Barry. I agree.
Yeah.
The big thing here, I think, is the timing for the grant. We don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
So apply for it anyway. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's really important. So is there any other questions or comments with regards to this? I'm not seeing any. Wendelin, go ahead.
So I would need a council resolution today to be able to proceed with the proposed $3.5 million application, because previously you had only approved up to the $3 million.
Okay. All right. Hart, you're moving that?
I'll move that, Jim.
Okay. And Barry, you're seconding it?
Yeah, with a question. When does it have to be in, Wendelin?
Tomorrow. That's why
I guess we better do it today then, eh?
That's the way these things all work, eh? They like to put you right against the wall. So,
Yep.
well, there was some
Yep.
good information here. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried. Yes. So thank you everyone for that part of it. It's, yeah, it's too bad you got to rush with this, but make sure you don't miss crossing the T's and dotting the I's, because when you rush like that, you might forget something. So, okay, so that brings a close to this part of the meeting. Thank you everyone for this, and I'll look for a confirming
There we go.
motion for confirming bylaw.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Giroux and Councillor Webb, all in favor? And that's carried. And the motion to adjourn always comes from Barry, and it's seconded by Larry. So all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so
I have a question too, Jim.
go ahead.
The closed session, why